So it's a condo. I get there, wonderful lady, single lady. She's like, come on. She's like, all right, that bedroom, that hallway. She's like, and I got the paint. It's great. Put it in the system. And I'm sweating. And the whole thing is like, do it on the spot, right? So it's probably my second estimate ever. So she's like, oh, just do it right here. Yeah, I got time. She's sitting on her couch and I'm on her. She had a little bar stool. I put it in and I did it totally wrong. It comes up to $783 and like 62 cents.
For 3 bedrooms in the hallway.
Totally, completely. And I'm sweating. I look at her. I'm like, okay, it's 783. She goes like this. I'll never forget it. She's sitting like, she goes, oh, let me get my checkbook. She jumped out of her chair. I'm the best salesman ever.
Oh my God, I nailed it.
Go ahead. Gives me a check for 10%, $78. Put it in my pocket. Oh God.
Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent up that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse to the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from achieving your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop. Alan, I'm excited today because we're going to have one of my good friends, Scott Specker, come in here, and he's going to talk with us today and drop some gold nuggets for the adventure team. But before we do that, let me introduce you to Scott a little bit. Scott's been around for 18 years working in marketing and sales in the corporate world. So he's been in the zoo, but he escaped and he worked his way out and he got into the franchising world. But before he did that, he worked at a number of the big companies, Fortune 500 companies, such as Georgia Pacific, Coca-Cola, Heinz, those really big companies. So he definitely
never heard of him.
What?
Really?
But you're going to hear of the business that he started. So after doing all that, he decided with his wife, Sharon, of 22 years, that they're going to go out into the wild world of entrepreneurship. And they started 5-Star Painting of Cumming in Alpharetta. He enjoys traveling with his wife, woodworking, fly fishing, playing tennis. He is an avid Buffalo Bills fan, which is a little near and dear to my heart. So that's cool too. Scott also, as I've known him, is a big believer in volunteering and is a member of his local Rotary, volunteers at Brown Bridge Community Church as a youth small group leader, and is all around just a good guy.
Sounds like a Renaissance man.
He is a Renaissance man, and I can't wait for everybody else to meet him. So without further ado, let's get after it.
Thank you. Let's do it.
Alan,
Wonderful.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good to see you, Chris.
And good to see you. And it's exciting to also have Scott here in studio with us talking a little bit about his experience.
Awesome.
So Alan, you don't know Scott as well as I do, but I'm going to say one of the guys that I've met, and he's just like us because he left that wild world of the zoo, felt like he was in there. He had that seminal moment. He leaves and he starts a painting business. Well, wait, that's not very sexy, right? Well, we've talked about that a lot on the podcast. And so my first question is, why the hell did you pick painting?
How long is this podcast?
As long as you want.
Holy cow, Chris. I mean, tons of reasons, but one was, first I had an idea. I had a lot of ideas that my wife hated. Then, of course, I tried to ignore her advice and say, okay, I'm going to do my own thing. And then I talked to a franchise broker. And I didn't really know a franchise broker did or what their deal was, but I explained to him my ideas as well. And unfortunately, he liked what he agreed with my wife that they were all stupid. So I was 40 years old. They were retail. One of them was a partnership, super risky. One was custom soccer / lacrosse store, which, is a need, but it'd be like custom, high end stuff as opposed to the Dick stuff.
The Dick stuff.
Not Dick stuff. That's other stuff. So then
that's a different franchise.
That's a whole different franchise I didn't know anything about.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah. So obviously we didn't go that one. That's not the one you want to tell mom and dad you're running, right? I'm not at the Dick stuff store. So back to not doing lacrosse.
Yeah. So not doing lacrosse. So I had an idea for an app, which was really funny. And I still makes me laugh. So my buddy and I, quick story on that. My buddy and I were both trying to bust out of corporate America, and we would get these memos from the boss's boss saying, hey, this new VP came in, and we couldn't understand what that VP did because it had so much what we called lingo bingo, like BS corporate lingo in it. and we would send it back and forth and highlight, like, look at these words of just complete BS words that mean nothing. So I said, man, let's make an app out of this where you would feed that memo in and you'd get a score of what BS. And it's fun idea.
I like that idea. You need to run with that.
I think it's still
Corporate
good,
bingo
but,
is so
and I actually talked to like a developer about it, but I just, it costs $2 to buy the app. How many $2 things do I need to support Miss Sharon's?
Tell me you never played
a
corporate
lot.
bingo.
I play corporate bingo.
Right?
I
You
know
would
what you
send
guys
it
are
like,
talking
what
about.
are you taught? Like, we read these memos. We really didn't know what does this guy do?
Right.
Strategic corporate blah, 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 like so then I even created like a database that had like, it would weight the words on how stupid they were. Yeah, I think that the weighting was like if my 7-year-old could understand it. It was fun. We had fun with that. So a lot of those ideas like that were fun, but can they support Miss Sharon and 3 boys pre-college and my mortgage? And so no. So my franchise broker sat me down and said, listen, dummy, you need to buy a franchise. You need to get into something. Like, how long? He actually, what he said to me? How long can you go without making $1? I was like, 6 months. He's like, okay, then you need a franchise.
So you literally, you could have gone 6 months without making $1.
I did go 6 months without making $1 because I somehow negotiated a package out, which I also stayed as. They hated me so much that they paid me to not be there for 6 months, but I hated them as much too, because I was at that point where it's like, I have to get out. I can't. Somehow I found some writing on some manual that if you do a voluntary, like, hey, whack me, because we were on the GE thing where it was like, hey, we're ranking every employee and we're whacking the bottom 20%. So I did the, volunteer thing, like, hey, take me out, but give me the 6 months. And they couldn't get around it because I found the paperwork. It was buried in some employee handbook thing, and they're like, yeah, and they approved it. And I went home, and I'll never forget, I like told my wife, and we were like hugging and cheering. And
wasn't that one of like the greatest days in your life?
It was the greatest, and it was the scariest. It's like in retail when you get the Walmart, order. Yeah, we got Walmart. Great. Now we got to deliver in 3,000 stores. But so I'll never forget it because it was across the street from my house. My wife was at the park doing the like corporate mom thing. She's got done playing tennis. They're sitting there watching the kids play. And I go over and I'm like, hey, she approved it. I got the 6 months, and she picked me up. I picked her up and we did like a spin around thing. And then it was like, she literally like had a panic attack that night. She's like, what are we gonna do now?
It sounds like a lot of story. That's why I love having him in here, because Alan,
Yeah.
You had a similar story. I've had a story. You listening on the podcast, you probably have one of these stories, but we've all had that time. It's the most exhilarating and most frightening moment of your life.
Extremely frightening, because we had a 2-week time period where we didn't know if I was going to get the package. And the 2-week, the line in the sand before that, 2 weeks before, I had my one-on-one with my boss, and it was my performance review. And a week before that, she had gotten up and told what our 2011 strategic, the BHAGs were. She's like, oh, we're going to do this. And I remember sitting there going, we did that a year ago. It didn't work. That's boring. We tried that. Like each one, I was like, no, like this looks awful. So, and I just having this sinking, like, what am I doing? Like, what? I'm adding no value here. You take me out. They replace me in a second. I have no stock. I got tired of my kids saying, Dad, what'd you do today? Well, I played this thing called Microsoft Excel. I looked at a lot of data. I was able to sort it. I found some things interesting. Then I put it in a pretty chart. And then I sent that to a VP. I don't know if he used it. I think he thanked me, but it got imported in this other thing. And I don't, and they like look at me like, but I couldn't have that conversation without like getting a tear, because I felt like, what did I do? I don't know. I don't know what I did. Like, what did I actually physically do to justify this great salary, steady, good healthcare, the whole thing. But like, I had no sense of purpose. I'm like, and I had people under me and like, I helped coach them, but like, they were really smart. So like, they were like, they kind of didn't need me. It was just me plowing the road for them. So it wasn't like a great coaching environment and stuff like that. So I sit with my boss, and she's like, she's going over like the reviews and like, the project, the big projects for the year. And I'm like, I just kind of looked at her and she's like, do you like it here? I still get teary thinking about it. And I looked at her and I go, no. And the tears, like, oh man, dude, I was 40 years old. I started to cry.
There's no crying in baseball.
I just go, no, I don't. And she like held, and she kind of like held my hand. Like, she's like, are you okay? And I go, no. And she goes, what would you do if you're not here? And I was already like talking to the franchise dude, and I said, I've got some ideas. I said, I don't think my heart is here anymore. And again, the tears, like I wasn't sobbing, but it just like I couldn't control it. So right then, when you say that in corporate America, when you say that to your boss, I'm toast.
Yeah,
Like I'm done. I'm never going to get promoted. I'm never going to get the big, and I was like a 4. So GE, they rank you, and I got a 4, which meant I get a 4% increase in salary versus the 2.5 or the 3 that everyone else gets. So
you're fat over.
So I'm like, yeah, well, so I was
But
like,
also,
well,
he's
I
a
was a
shining
rock
star.
star, dude. If you're a 4, you're a rock star.
Right.
My wife and I still laugh about this because some days I tell her she's like a 2, which means you're about ready to be fired. But I was like a 4. I was untouchable. So now I'm saying like I'm out, and I knew that like I said I just don't think. As soon as you said that, like they're like, okay, we need to, he's now going to be ranked. We're going to rank him low. He's basically gone, and we've taken off the big projects. So I told my wife I did that, and there was panic. I mean, we didn't sleep for 2 weeks because it's like, and I asked her in that meeting, I said, hey, can you look up that 6-month thing? Like, can you guys give me a parachute out? Because I think I can make it work. If you give me 6 months, like, I think I can make this work. She didn't get back to me for 2 weeks. I thought I was going to die during that 2-week time period because I'm like, my career's over. I can't just quit. I don't have enough money saved up to start from nothing. So then when she called me in her office, hey, yeah, I got that approved. Then it was like, my mind just went like, oh my God, I'm free. And that's when I went home, and Sharon and I did the big hug. And then there was panic after that. So that started, okay, we need to really take these franchises seriously.
What were some of the other ones?
Yeah, so the other ones were, I had some ideas in mind. So one was a at-home medical company, which would enable you to certify companies to be drug-free. What that means, though, is that you're collecting pee from truckers at about 2 a.m. And then you're delivering that to see if it has drugs in it. And if it doesn't, you like randomly drug test companies, which the concept's great. And it was mobile. I didn't want an office because I was in the office, I was commuting down.
So then when
North
your
Avenue.
kids ask you, what'd you do today?
I collected pee.
Let's make the painting sound really sexy.
Yeah. So that
now I can see why painting became really sexy to Scott and Sharon.
Yeah, exactly. So collecting pee, check. No. I love staffing. The staffing is the other one I really liked. So there were 2 different staffing options.
Can you imagine being in staffing today?
It'd be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So there were 2 options which were totally different. One was an office. It was with 2 really great Christian companies. And now I'm not going to remember their names, but one was trying to recruit like white collar dudes in Buckhead. And I'm like, oh, I've had those guys. Like I've had the 30-year-olds that come out of Emory making, 90 grand, want to be promoted every 6 months. Like I don't want to deal with that. The other one was in Gainesville. And it was sort of the chicken plant thing. So you get admins, and then it'll work really, get your way up to the higher end guys, because you get 20% of placing someone at 100 grand. That's real money. And I like the idea of staffing and giving someone a job and stuff. So we kind of dropped the Buckhead one. I was like, yeah, give me the Gainesville one. I can commute there from Cumming. It would be no big commute. So we went down the road there. We're almost at a discovery day. And then the lady called me, and she was super sweet. She's like, they sold this territory to an existing franchise in Lawrenceville. She said, I can't offer it to you. And she prayed with us. I was in Coca-Cola, and I didn't cry. So I was very emotional this time.
Yeah.
But because you're blowing your career up. I mean, I was a walking, I could have at any time.
Wide open nerve.
But I'm in a cubicle.
Exactly.
I'm literally, I think I was in the US building at Coke. So I'm looking over the whole city, and I'm like hiding in an office, taking this call. And she's like, I'm so sorry. She said a great prayer about finding the right path for Scott and Sharon. And all that was left after that was the painting thing. He had other things he could have showed me. And I really liked painting for a couple of reasons. It was transactional. So someone's going to hire me, right? $3 grand, paint your house, and we're done. We're still friends. You like me. We see me at the grocery store, we shake hands.
You'll
But
do my house
our
for $3 grand.
relationship's over. Not yours, because you live in Johns Creek and you're rich. Okay.
Just for the record, Alan's rich.
So he's
and
loaded.
He's doing this for free for me, just to help me become as rich as he is.
Love it.
It's the best.
Oh my goodness.
Let's keep popping on that one.
The old saying, I'll work for beer.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing my own beer. So
I know.
how dumb am I?
Is this working for you though? You're just listening to me jabbering on like
You
a
know
monkey
what?
in a tree.
You're a dream guest.
So
Yes.
I can
All
just
right.
sit here and drink beer and listen to it. When did your wife step in and tell you what to do?
that's
Because
a
that's
fantastic question.
really
She didn't tell me what to do ever. Let's just get that straight now.
Because she
She
is not in the
listening to
room.
this?
She
listens to
might
this?
be. It'll be
She
out there
knows.
forever.
He's the
She-
king of the
she
castle
knows.
when
She
she's gone.
knows. When she's gone, I am the boss. So, so Sharon and I, of course, had a chat, and I said, you know what? I feel bad I'm not getting the staffing thing, but if this were the painting thing, I would have been like, that's a big loss. So the painting thing was sexy for a couple of reasons. They basically took a map out, said, okay, your house is here. How about we make a territory here? We drew a circle around the house. Heck yeah, dude. I don't want to go to Canada. I'm done with Cleveland. I'm done with San Francisco. They look the same. It's a Marriott. Who cares? I'm done. I don't want to travel. I'm done. So if I want to travel, I want to travel with my wife and we'll have fun. So that was awesome. So circle around my house. Someone else was actually interested in the territory, according to the franchise broker. He may have used that to try.
Oh, yeah.
Then the
He's
call
so
center.
comical.
Yeah, he's like, hey, someone else is interested. It's like the realtor trick.
Come on, let's get this over with because he gets
Did
money
you
for
just make
placing
you
somebody.
made another crack at me.
Realtors
Real
say
estate-
that crap too, don't they?
He already told me I had a face for radio.
Ouch. He's already said face for radio and realtors are scum. Wait a minute. Alan,
No,
Does
just
not have-
95% of them. I bet he's the 5%.
He is
that are
definitely
My house
decent,
is
yeah.
$2,500 now.
we
For
just
the-
we just
for the
negotiated
paint
the
only.
painting.
Yeah. Well, I didn't
Yeah.
include labor in that.
Mm.
So so painting looked good for a couple reasons. I didn't have to travel. It was transactional. Then they said, come on out and meet us. So I went out and met them. They were young. They were risk takers. I'm a risk taker, obviously. They were smart. So talking MBAs from BYU that started this thing, they were impressive. Their call center really impressed me. So I've been dealing with our friends in India for some time. So I had at one point in my career, I had 3 employees, direct employees to me that were in India. My customer at Coca-Cola, who I love, Vivek, was from India. My boss was from India. So I had a lot of India and it was very difficult. So we also Nielsen Company, God, I forgot the word. What's the word when you fire all your US employees and bring them offshore?
Offshore.
They offshored. And I had to directly like let go of people and then say, hey, I've got these 3 MBAs in India that are replacing the people in America. Very difficult skill set, knowledge, names, everything was just so difficult. And I dealt with call centers in India. So now I'm talking to this painting franchise and they have a call center in Utah, staffed by wonderful, smart people actually in Utah. So that was very attractive to me.
He felt like they could connect a little bit better with Terry from Alpharetta, who got off the tennis courts and said, I think I need to get my house painted.
Yes.
Can you spell paint?
Yes.
So you like people who could actually speak the language. So the
Yes.
call center would put the right face on you. So you
Yes.
felt like your first touch point.
First
would
touch
be-
point was professional. It had a wonderful CRM system. So as soon as they called in and we watched it live, they're like, watch this. A call came in, it registered where the zip code was from. It matched it to the franchise owner. Oh yeah, there's Bob. Yeah, let's bring his calendar up. Presses another button. There's his calendar. Oh, he's free on Wednesday at 2:00. I was like, this is unbelievable.
So he didn't have to go out there and hire the first customer service rep. He didn't have to go out there and find it. Didn't have to define the process. It was sitting right there for him in wonderful Utah.
Yep.
Business in a box.
I like
It's
it.
the beauty of franchising.
Because I didn't, and then they said, oh, let's teach you how to, we can teach you how to measure a house. I didn't know how to measure a house. So, they showed me how to do that and you plug it right in the system, bam, there's a price and we're good. So that was impressive. They created their own, everything was custom. So the call center was custom, the CRM system was custom, to painting to them. I was like, this is pretty cool. Then I could be from home. So there was no office. I didn't have to get an office space. Now I do have an office space and I love it, but I didn't for the first.
All right. So
9
sexy
years.
painting, day 1. Here we go.
Day 1, I go out for training. And while I'm in training, which involved me fly fishing too, which was wonderful. But while I was out there, one of our neighbors, I love this, my wife, one of her neighbors like, hey, I need my house painted, So I get there like on a Monday. Unlike a Wednesday, this lady's like, I need my house painted. It's on that next door nightmare, right?
Yeah.
So my wife, my industrious wife, looking at our bills coming up, is like, oh, my husband owns a painting company. So I land Friday. Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, I have my first estimate.
So how'd you go to it?
I went to Home Depot first and bought the measuring equipment because I didn't even have a damn wheel. I didn't have a laser. I took the tag off in the market in the driveway.
So you had
It's
your
like,
shirt on,
had
you
my
had your
shirt
khaki
on,
pants.
green, and ready to go.
I'm gonna sell the shit out of this thing. Oh, this lady, by the time I'm done, I'm painting this whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
But you still are like,
Didn't
oh my
sell
God, I don't have.
You didn't sell it.
No,
Oh my
no.
gosh.
No, didn't sell the first one. So that was like mid-December, and it was dead. I mean, it was just it's like it is now. So it was dead, and we were new and nothing. My first one I sold 2 weeks later. I'll never forget her. Wonderful lady. The more I think about her, I'll remember her name. So she calls me out, and we were leaving. Her mom bought us a cruise. So I quote her on a Saturday, and I go out there, and I just jumped off the couch because she's like, I need to paint it right away. Can you come today? I was like, sure. So I just jumped out of the house.
You didn't play the big time. Like, let me check my schedule.
Let me check. I was so busy. I'm like, no, desperate. Yeah, need money.
You know,
So I
actually,
go out there.
I could fit you. I can fit you in. You know what? As a matter of fact, I'm on
Wasn't that smart?
You
I
just
should
like,
talk to you.
"I'm coming now."
I'm gonna be there now. Bolt out the door. Don't have my driver's license on me. Okay, that'll come back to bite me.
All right.
Oh,
It's at Swanee Station. I live in Cumming, so you cool little Swanee Square, Swanee Station area,
Yeah,
right? So
right.
not the new the one by Whole Foods. So it's a condo. I get there, wonderful lady, single lady. She's like, come on up. She's like, all right, that bedroom, that hallway. She's like, and I got the paint. It's great. Put it in the system, and I'm sweating. And the whole thing is like, do it on the spot, right? So it's probably my second estimate ever. So she's like, oh, just do it right here. Yeah, I got time. She's sitting on her couch, and I'm on her. She had a little bar stool. I put it in, and I did it totally wrong. It comes up to $783 and like 62 cents
For 3 bedrooms in the
Yeah,
hallway.
totally, completely. And I'm sweating. I look at her. I'm like, okay, it's 783. She goes like this. I'll never forget it. She's sitting like, she goes, oh, let me get my checkbook. She jumped out of her chair. I'm the best salesman ever.
Oh my God, I nailed it.
Nailed it.
Go ahead.
Gives me a check for 10%, $78. Put it in my pocket. It's like, oh my God. So I walk out of her house, and it was dark. I think it's like Saturday night or whatever. And I get in my car, I pick up my cell phone. I call the other 5-star owner. His name was Rock, down in Alpharetta. And I'm like, dude, I just saw my first job. And I'm driving and turn around. And she had like a median in the road, and there's cops down here, lights on and stuff. I didn't even pay attention. I'm like, dude, I just saw my first estimate. It was amazing, $783. I pull up, and I'm right at the stop sign. I'm at a cop stop. It's like the cops roll down the window. I'm like, hey, yeah, hold on. He's like, yeah, his license and registration, please. He goes, you don't have a seatbelt on. I go, oh, sorry. I said, let me call you back. Hang on. I get fined for not having my seatbelt. No license. Okay.
$783
So, yeah,
fine.
I
God.
think the whole job cost me $200, right? So I'm out like $300 for that. So she's like, all right, come back in a week and paint it. That's how it started with painters too. So I find a painter, and I book it. He calls me that morning. Oh, my van broke. So I get to the job, which was a total lie. He got another job somewhere else because this one only paid him
that's right, yeah.
$400 or whatever.
Right. So,
So-
there's another little
Brenda,
nugget
that was
for
her
you.
name, Brenda
Yeah,
Klantz.
nobody has that many flat tires, that many broken axles,
That
and
many
that many
dead
broken down
Yeah.
cars.
That many dead grandmas.
Nobody dead.
Yeah,
that
we've heard
that
it all.
many dead family members in New York. When
Yeah.
they live here in Atlanta,
Yeah.
right? They're full of
Full
it.
of it. He got a bigger job somewhere else. I can do it tomorrow. So, no, my first customer. So go to her house, and I'm all dressed, all perfect. Get there early. I said, oh, Miss Brenda. I said, I'm just so sorry. Or Belinda was Miss Belinda. I'm so sorry. I said, painter can't be here. His van broke, but I got someone coming at noon. She looks at me dead in the eyes. Well, I need something for my inconvenience. What can you do for me?
For 783,
For 780.
62.
I'm like, can I give you 5% off? Make it 10. Okay, 10.
Here's your $78 back.
So I'm giving you $78. You want,
Plus
you want
the
pennies?
300 for
The 300 for the fine.
Plus the painter.
Then you have
plus
to pay for the
and-
painter.
Yeah.
And no
I made
materials out of
nothing.
pocket.
No,
Yeah. But your first job,
first job.
right?
Yeah.
There you go. Even in a franchise, I don't care how many systems they put in place, you still got to be you, man. You still got to be running your business. We haven't even got to all that stuff.
It's
great.
terrifying.
It helps.
It is terrifying.
But we all have that story. I just
Yeah.
like, yes. I remember setting a 5 foot by 5 foot window, this huge picture glass window. And I messed up in my system, and I left it at $80. And the guy said, sold. And I'm like, great, because I didn't see it in all the other lines, because we had like $3,000 worth of work in total. And we put that window, I saw the line item, I said, oh my God, $80. And my guy who worked for me said, I'm not putting the thing in for $80. So I had to go put that window in with him and then do everything else. And you know how heavy those things are?
Yes.
The best part was he lives in a gated community here in Alpharetta in St. Marlowe, which is a golf course community, huge house, beautiful. He calls me 5 years later, says, hey, the window failed. Can you replace it? I said, let me get with my manufacturer. Absolutely, get it replaced. Yeah, I said, yes, the materials are covered, but the labor is going to be an appropriate charge of $500. He goes, well, you only charged me $80. I said, I know, I was an idiot. He goes, I know, that's why I went with you.
And meanwhile, I told all the neighbors, hey, you get a window in for $80.
Yeah, that's what we say now. It's like, if
Yeah.
we're the cheapest, we made a mistake. I mean,
Yeah.
we tell our salespeople that now. So, yeah,
But
that was a lot.
eventually, so you started in which year?
I started, that happened in December of 2012. We really got going January 2013, like right after that. It just, so yeah, then in 6 months, I did not take a dime out of the business because I still had the salary and, medical going.
Is your wife involved in the business?
She was involved. So I was selling things inappropriately and wrong
Yeah.
price, and she was trying to manage it. And she was trying to deal with painters, and we were really, and we almost, yeah. So in May, we were both at our wits' end because we were working constantly. And I think we did in sales maybe 47,000 for the entire month of April, which was great because our margins were good. And we were finally at like, wait, we can actually make, 20, we were making 20% of that ish. And it was like, okay, wait, this is actually real money now. We can do this, but we're both working now as opposed to just one person working. And we're killing each other because I'm quoting things wrong and running around crazy. And she's trying to manage the painters. So there was constant headbutting. So we met back with our franchise broker, Steve Miller, who's amazing. If anybody needs a connection.
Yeah, Steve is a good guy.
You know Steve?
Yeah, I know
How about
Steve well,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. He started me down this insane path. It's his fault.
Everybody in North Atlanta who has been placed in a franchise, I swear to God, he's got to be 80% of them.
He's like the Kevin
Steve.
Bacon 7.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean,
Yeah,
he placed Jim at Window Genie.
Yeah,
and everywhere.
Jim,
I
and
think
there's
Bob Cool.
Bob as
too,
well.
yeah.
That's 3. So
He plays
Well, you know what I like
five-star
about
guys.
Steve, and he'd be a good guest.
we need. Well, I tell you what, I need one of you to get a hold of him. For whatever reason, my email does not get to him.
He blocked it.
Well, because I didn't go franchising. Hey,
Yeah,
Steve,
probably.
maybe, baby, I'll buy one, sell one, have one, hold one. You ever heard those stories?
There you
I got
go.
franchise people tell me all the time. Go ahead and get yourself a franchise.
The thing I love about Steve is, compared to many other franchise brokers, is he's not just out there to sell you something.
No.
I mean, he'll tell you no.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Well, that's what he
probably-
did. He's
yeah.
the guy that told me no on the medical stuff. He didn't like that. I've inquired about other things throughout the years. So we sat back with him in May, and Sharon and I are at our wits' end. We met him at a Rome, wherever those offices
Yeah,
are.
he had his little office in Rome. You get your coffee and
And we sit down and he's looking at us. He's like, how's it going? And he very wisely picked up that we're stressed and we're tired and fighting. And he said, okay, you guys are treating this like a sprint. He said, this is a marathon. He said, you need to back off and be happy in your success. He said, I can't believe you did that. And we made Rookie of the Year, and we sold, we sold 367,000 our first year, which is insane to think that we did that little, but combined into 6 months, it was
but
actually
that was during the
good.
Great Recession still. I mean,
Sort of, yes, because
yeah.
every estimate started with, well, my husband lost his job and now we can finally paint the house. So yeah, that's exactly
So you
how
did
it
367. My
started. In
first year.
2013.
Yeah, my first year in 2008 with the recession starting, we did 150. This is after I told my
Oh my
wife, I'm
gosh.
like, don't you worry, baby. 3 years, daddy's ton
Big
getting back.
Daddy's back.
Big daddy's coming home, and 150 total revenue net,
Holy
like
cow.
1%.
Yeah.
Because I was misbidding everything.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the franchise system to help. Of course, now 13 years later, I don't also have
Royalties.
the royalties. So
Yes.
now it's better. But again, having to do it all over again, I don't know if I'd go franchise. But again, I felt like I was smarter than everybody else because, well, that's
Yeah.
what I do. And then I go up and prove everybody completely wrong. I'm really not smarter than everybody else. I'm an idiot who can sell a window and put it in for $80.
Yeah, and
Pretty
I'm
much.
not stopping you.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep rolling.
You
All
didn't
right.
save him with that, did you?
So you go back for marriage counseling with Steve Miller, Fly Like an
And he
Eagle.
said, and she just had to breathe. I had to breathe and fly like an eagle, man, wise man at the appropriate time, said with care, the right tone, everything. You guys need to, you're doing great. He's like, what are you talking about? Stop sprinting. It's a marathon, and put the plan in. And we started to hire people, get Sharon out of the business. to be more on the business. I hired a project manager right after that, and reached out because I had the franchise network. I had helped my mentor back at the time, Mike, and he was a couple years ahead of me in Texas. I called him all the time. He helped me how to hire painters. He helped me how to, kind of structure and build the business.
All right. So as we get through this thing, here's my next question for you. So there you go. First year, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So now you had the plan, you had the franchise. So everything's been beautiful since then, right?
Oh yeah,
Everything's been a piece of cake.
Piece of cake.
Biggest problem you've had as you scaled your business, and what can we help our team or people listening to this? Because I happen to know you, and I know one of the ones I would pick. I've listened to you and some of the stories you've had, but looking back on the whole time at painting, what was the hardest scaling point for you?
I mean, I think it's finding the right people for sure. That share your vision, that have a good work ethic, that are honest. That's been hard. I think we also, at some point, this sounds weird. You're not always an entrepreneur, because I always vision an entrepreneur as blazing the road and starting something new. At some point, you do need to run a business and need to have systems in place and have a processes. You can't always be inventing. So you have to really kind of stay in your lane a bit. So I bought a painting franchise. So we do interior, exterior, wood repair, and cabinets. Outside of that, you really shouldn't do anything. So, bidding a new Walmart your first year, second year, don't do that. You're not ready for that. So one of the guys that guided me.
That is a constant problem in franchising is.
They veer off. They go, you're not getting. It can happen, right? So the fish sandwich came out of McDonald's and because of the fish fry, right? I get that can happen, right? But the best run McDonald's, the best run Chick-fil-A, my son works for actually in Georgia, right? He's doing the system very well. He's got great processes in place, but he doesn't have a special chicken sandwich in there that he created out of nowhere that he's getting high margin on, right? He just has a system, and he's got people on iPads out there. He's making that system run very fast, and he does $10 million a year. It's crazy.
That point is amazing, and we just got to make sure everybody hears that one, because I have not done that. I've been pretty good at not chasing every shiny object, but there's a few squirrels out there, and they have shiny bells on them, and I freaking chase them all through I go right through the middle of 8 lanes on I-85, and I have been run over like so many times chasing the wrong damn thing. But so for you, scaling wise, I'm going to bring up the one that most recently happened, because early on in my business, I had to shut my business down for 2 days because I had so many reviews. In the span of 2 days, I had 5 reviews. I told my team at the time I had 5 handyman. I'm like, guys, take Thursday and Friday off. And I went and took care of every redo by myself. Wow. Basically shut the business down, to find out that it was all not them. It was actually me and my lack of process. So I fixed it. So you've been at it now for how long?
So this will be my 9th year. This is, I guess, I'm finishing my 9th year. Right?
All right. So let's talk about this year, because I know you and I have talked about it, and I want everybody to hear this. Yeah. So we're in 2021. We are killing it in Atlanta. If you're in home services, we're all just minting money. Okay. Which is a wink, wink, nod, nod, full of sarcasm. But we've had a good year, and you were cranking too. And then you had to make a decision this spring and summer. Why don't you tell everybody again, you've gotten this big and you are very successful, but after this many years, why don't you take us through what you did?
Yeah. So it was a massive change. So in May, we did more volume. We produced more volume in 1 month than we did our whole first year of business. So I think our sales were 388, in the month of May. And the months before that, we're kind of building to it. So we were on path to do greater than 97% of what we did the previous year. Previous year, we were up 23%, right? So we were scaling to be almost a $5 to $6 million business in the first 5 months of the year. So great. Yeah, we're on High Street. Not at all. What was happening is that we had estimators that were not following our processes, and so a $3,000 job that they were selling was actually a $4,000 job. And guess what? We didn't catch it until it actually got through the system, because no one else sees it except for the estimator. We didn't catch it until the production side. So our painters would get out there, and we actually had painters quit on us. First time ever. We never had painters quit on us. They're like, you guys don't know how to estimate. I'm out. I'm going to go to your competitor. And it was multiple people that were doing it. So it was really a problem at the top, unfortunately. So we had to make a change of our sales manager. We had to make a change of our 2.5 estimators that we got rid of out of, we had 3.5, we kept 1. And they were full-time. And one was my number one sales rep. She sold $800,000.
That's a tough
that
decision to make.
and we just, we gave them options, some of them was like, okay, you can, the sales manager was like, all right, we can put you in another place, but I need new salespeople. I can't. So that was a massive change. So I was just looking at the chart because my sales just went like this. We went down to a third. I think we did 110 or something in
So
June.
you had to make a very tough call. And,
Yeah.
and that's what, when you wake up every morning as an entrepreneur, and I had to say that the Monday after Thanksgiving in my business, I had to tell myself at least 20 times, you're here to solve problems. You're here to solve problems. You're here to solve problems. All right, quit telling me that. All right, so you had to solve a problem, and you made a very tough call in May in Atlanta when everybody wants their house painted.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, man, look at all this. Wait, where's the money, man?
Yeah.
What the hell?
So top line was great. Bottom line was not good. Everyone's arguing. So sales and project management were constantly arguing back and forth. Then after that, I had to actually make a change of a project manager to one of our top guys that, we probably take some blame on burning him out, but then he didn't work out. So then I got rid of half of my project management staff.
So, literally, I wouldn't say 100% turnover, but I watched it because we've talked about
50%.
But that's a lot of turnover. And this is again, a very successful business owner. And he is an overnight success, right? He is making money. He's minting money. He's taking care of his family. He's just killing it. Okay. Sarcasm, wink, wink.
Sarcasm.
But what happened, right? You still have to make those calls even after 9 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I'm process oriented. I follow all these. What happened? Wow, the people weren't doing things. Maybe I missed some things. You got to put the mirror on you sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough.
Yeah, usually when I really have a problem, I always do try to look at myself because it really usually is me not managing properly, closely enough, letting things slide. But it is hiring the wrong people. I think they get bad habits. I think you got to have the right culture. So, we made tough choices even years ago. We had to let go, a family friend of ours that worked for us as an estimator, and I let him go. And they haven't talked to us since. That's awful. You don't want that. But the business has to survive. It's a whole nother animal. It's a whole nother person that you've just created that needs to be fed and needs to survive. Unfortunately,
what are things that you do to build the kind of culture that you want in your business?
Well, now that I have an office, it's brought up a whole new world to me. So it's like mine. I have a kitchen, so I try to do stuff. I'm trying to be there, first of all, so they can see me. When they come in, I kind of put aside what I'm working on and listen, because sometimes they just stop in for 10 minutes or between estimates. So I keep an open door policy for sure. I try to keep food in there. So it's kind of like they don't even know I do this, but I bring in different food to see what they actually eat. Some things they don't eat. So they're like a part of this little experiment, because like we have a meeting and then I'm like, why don't they eat all that? And I change it up. But I actually thought, because of that, I actually thought of a good idea for a book one day. So I used to, when we'd have staff meetings, I would buy myself, this is how selfish I am, I would buy myself the breakfast sandwich from Dunkin' Donuts, right? Because I want to be full for the whole day. I don't want to worry about lunch. I would buy my team donuts. They wouldn't eat the donuts, but I bought myself a breakfast sandwich.
What kind of man?
What kind of a
you?
jerk does that?
Man.
And I literally had this phrase just ring in my head: buy them the sandwiches, but it's expensive, right? There's 7 of them. It's $4 versus but I'm so cheap. So the next week I buy them all sandwiches. They eat them all. I'm like,
that's so funny. I'm glad you brought up a book.
Really? Why would you?
Do we know a successful author?
I'm not sure.
I'm so glad we brought that up. So from the zoo to the wild, we actually talk about not only making that leap, which we talked about with Scott already, which is amazing. And you can hear the passion that he had and the fright that he had and the excitement, exhilaration, and then he scaled. All of that you can find from the zoo to the wild. Your guide to entrepreneurial freedom and wealth, available on Amazon. Go out there and please purchase it.
Wow. What does it take to get an autographed copy of the book, Chris?
You know what? All you have to do is just one more podcast with me, Alex.
And maybe a t-shirt.
Yeah.
So I do have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Going all the way back.
Yes.
When you're hugging your wife and you're super excited, but you're also scared to death.
Yes.
And you're working with Steve.
Yes.
What are some things that you can tell our listeners maybe you might have done differently if you could do it all over again?
So,
because we all have that wonderful 2020
I think
hindsight.
Don't know your strengths. So I knew I was a sales and marketing person. I can walk into a room and feel comfortable. I watched other owners fail at that, and the business you buy into for a franchise, you need to know if it's an operations focused business or is it sales and marketing. And if you're not a sales and marketing person, hire someone. So I saw people fail.
You got to know your limitations.
You got to know your limitations.
Yes.
I'm also not a great operations guy in terms of managing the jobs, in terms of going back. I've kind of lose my patience. It's like, all right, I've already convinced Mrs. Jones to hire me. Now I have to go there every day for 3 days and everything's fine. Everything's good. You know, that's not, people like me for like 45 minutes and then
I'm about done.
Yeah, exactly. See, it's funny
we should bring
the
that
line
up.
chart's going like this right now. It's
Wow.
like, okay,
The listeners, hang with us,
beyond
because we've got to ask our famous 3 questions of Scott. And Scott, we've really enjoyed this. Obviously you and I have talked quite a bit over the years, and this is only a snippet, but you're getting a lot of great information, and there's a lot more he could give us all. But to wrap this thing up, we got to ask you our favorite 3 questions. Number 1, what is your favorite feature of your house?
We put a lot of time and energy, I would say, into our media room. We like movies, so it's not like a giant, it's just I got comfortable chairs and I put a little dimmer in there. It was a really expensive dimmer it was like $30 for this dimmer, but I can do it from my phone. So my teenagers think I'm cool. I'm like, oh, let me get that.
They probably still don't think
they don't think I'm cool, but only one of them has access to do the dimmer.
I just want to interject that while he said he was cheap, he is proving it right now.
Oh my God.
Saying that was an expensive dimmer. It was
$30.
That's what dimmers go for, man.
It's ridiculous.
And by the way, all the food he buys is from Costco. Truth be told,
And
so do
Aldi.
I.
And Aldi. I'm a happy Aldi shopper.
All right. So your favorite features, and you said for movies, family time. I love that.
Yeah.
But I really know it's for Bills games.
That and sleeping.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Is that where you pass out?
I pass out.
Yeah. That's what my family the other night said. Hey, Dad, can we go to a movie? I'm like, sure. Those are the most expensive naps I ever have. Because you go in there, you pay those $20 or whatever, because we went back to the movies. And what do? Hit that recliner and some of these things now, and Daddy's gone. The kill switch is down.
Toast.
All right. Next question.
Yes.
Give us your customer service pet peeve.
I can't, and we work on this, so I can't stand when I call somewhere and I give them my information. Scott, blah, I give them the basics of what I'm looking for. Oh, yes, let me transfer you to that department. And they transfer me, and I have to give all my information again. Why isn't it in a computer going there? So we actually work on this. I blew my ACL out once, and I went to Northside Hospital, amazing hospital, and 3 different women came over and asked me, hi, what's your name? Scott Specker. What are we doing today? Operating on your right knee. I said, yes, right knee, come over. Put a big mark on my thing. Each one of them verified and checked that my right knee was getting the ACL. So I brought this up to my team and I said, how can we verify? What's the most important thing we do at someone's house? The color. Let's verify the color at least 3 times. Let's get a project manager verified. Let's get a scheduler verified. So we try to implement that. And we've never put the wrong color on someone's house, but it is the most important thing. And if I was having someone come in and paint my house, that's what I would want. Yeah, man, it's the agreeable gray. Yes, agreeable gray. Yes.
Back to staying in your lane, he just hit a great one for me. He says, I've never put the wrong color on a house. And in the beginning, I would do anything to anybody at any time. And one of them was pressure washing and painting an entire house, even though I had no skill to do it. And I went out to find a sub to do it. So I send a pressure washer out to pressure wash the house. I get the painter goes out the next day, says, hey, Chris, it's not pressure washed. I'm like, yeah, he was out there yesterday. I drive out there. As I'm driving out there, I'm looking, I'm like, wow, that house next door looks really good. He pressure washed the wrong house. Check this out. The lady that pressure washed the house, ding dong, sorry that we hit the doorbell. Hi, I'm Chris. And it looks like we pressure washed your house. And she lays into me. She said, I didn't ask for that. And I can't believe you did this. I said, well, I think the house looks amazing. Would you like me to give you a quote for painting? There was no chance. I not only did I lose that one, but the other people found out that I pressure washed the wrong house and they canceled the paint job. And that's when Chris says, I do not paint houses anymore. I am going back to handyman.
That's
so
funny, but sad.
It is sad. I've got, and then, which leads into our last question. Give us a DIY or a contractor nightmare story.
DIY, so that means myself. So Sharon and I tried to wallpaper our first house, the bathroom. It was a tiny little bathroom, tiny little house, track house in gorgeous St. Charles, Illinois, actually St. Elgin, Illinois. And she bought the wallpaper, which was super expensive. We were dead poor at the time. And I remember us trying to put it up and line it up. It was floral. It was like this dark blue floral, awful pattern. But if we screwed it up, we'd have to buy another roll. And the roll was like $300. And at the time, that might as well be $3,000. I mean, we were like, and we almost killed each other. Somehow we're still married, but we got it hung up and we didn't kill each other. But I will never hang wallpaper with my wife again.
Wallpapering is a hard one, I have to admit.
10 times more than a dimmer.
Wow.
Yes.
You know what? Now you know the level of his cheapness. That is an amazing story.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
If it weren't for our wives, we'd all be living under bridges. That is a fact.
I have to say, you can tell that behind every weak ass man is a strong woman, and there's 3 of them right here.
Yep.
But no, you can tell it's Scott, and not only is he successful in his own right, but I have met his wife and know her, and
she's a saint.
and she
I
is-
can tell.
she is.
Saint directly from heaven.
Yeah, she is good, and his kids are great too. So I happen to know one of them really well, and he's a great kid. So kudos to you, and that's back to being successful. Because as we talk about going up that mountaintop of success, it's not about the money. It's not all about that $30 dimmer. It's about your family. It's about what you have. It's your legacy that you're bringing. And Scott, you're doing a great job, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Scott, you're the
Appreciate it.
man. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Small Business Safari. Don't forget to go out and rate, review, and follow me. And if you like this episode, go out and check out my other episodes, or check out my Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn for other great content. And remember, your positive attitude will help you achieve your higher altitude in the wild world of small business ownership. Until next time, make it a great day, Adventure Team.